Sorry about these videos jumping around a bit, but anyway, my fuel and temperature gauge wasn't working, and neither were turn signal indicators. I couldn't tell about the rest of the lights, and so I pulled this gauge out, the gauge cluster, and I went around each one of these lights here and cleaned them up good, made sure they had good bulbs in it. And as I was doing this, I wound up with some of these little pins were either broken or not soldered to the board. This one goes in that hole. So what I'm going to do is just cleaning them up one at a time. Looks like somebody's already been in there soldering on it. So I'm just going to solder these. I think I'll just solder them all real good, and that'll be the end of that, hopefully. So I'll get you set up here and we'll see if we can solder this one in. Well, these pins are going to be a little bit hard to hold. I don't know what kind of camera angle we got there, or if you can see this at all, but what I'm going to try to do is tin this first with some solder, probably off the camera. So I got the gun loaded up. Try to put a little solder on this pin. And it doesn't seem to be wanting to stick very well. Anyway, got a little on it. Next I want to try to, that's fairly good. Next I want to try to tin this hole here. What I'm going to do is put a little on it with my gun. Alright, that's doing something. I cleaned it up pretty good. Not particularly great, but so I got a little tin in it. Now I'm going to try to hold this with one hand with these little pliers and stick it in there and see if I can get it soldered. And I did get it in there and soldered. So I'm going to get you a little better focus here. So it did solder, but the problem is that the little printed circuit board came loose from the thing. I could probably put it together, but the first time I tried to take it apart, I would rip it out, and I'd have to get a whole new printed circuit board. I imagine it's probably possible to do, but I'm trying to avoid that. So here's another broken one here. So rather than trying to pull these out of the board, I'm going to try to just clean them up. Yeah, best I can. And then I'll put a little super glue around the bottom of them. Hopefully that'll hold them things on. Well, we'll give that a try. Oh, there I got them all soldered. And when they're on the left, big lump on it, I got it super glued down. Everything looks like it's making good electrical connection. Some of them I didn't really mess with too much. They were pretty solid, so I just left them alone. I'll oil up the socket to go into real good. try to be careful putting it in, but right now all the bulbs are showing good and all the connections are showing good. I'll let this thing dry and then I'll stick it in and see what happens. Well, moving on, I tried to clean this little connector up best I could with a little round file. I pulled out this tack. This whole heater thing here is something's broke inside. It's moving around. I couldn't fix that, so I got this gauge back together, and I'm going to try to put it in this connector now and see if I can make sure all of these things are connected to the pin. So if it works, hopefully I should have all my indicators and stuff like that. Well, I got it on. It was a little bit of work, but now my fuel gauge is showing almost full, and that should be right. I put $40 worth in. It was 10, it was about 3, so it's got about 15 gallons, and it's an 18-gallon tank, I think. So I don't know about my, yep, turn signal right works. Very bright, that's for sure. Left. Let me see if I can get back there. Play with this bulb. I don't know if the bulb's bad or check the voltage on that and see if it's maybe just not connected. Check it and see. Well, there it is, all back together. Fuel gauge works, alternator and oil, probably temperature does now. Speedometer stuck at 20, I got it down to 15. The buzzer for the light works. The wipers work now. There's something wrong, you're only running on one speed. But they turn on and off. This bottom light here is supposed to be park. It's probably messed up. But the dash is in and I cleaned it good. Looks a lot better than it did. So this deal here, I'm not sure what's going on, but horn's not working. I should be able to ground this. Nah, it ain't honking. There was a looks like I need a little spring in there and a horn cap and an aftermarket wheel, and my turn signal's loose here. I have to pull the steering wheel off of here to get that fixed, but that's a deal for another day. Got my emergency brake working and letting go. This is more solid than it was. I never did figure out what was wrong with it. Found a couple little studs that looked like they might have had a broke bolt. I'll try to JB weld it, but I can tell the cable over here for the defroster stuck. So that's probably why it got broke. I don't know what the deal is with this power booster or whatever it is. And Only got a few cracks in the dash and one big bend here. I think I can probably resolve some of that. Well, still dirty and a lot of mess, but at least my instruments are kind of working, and that's what I was trying to do today. I bought a oil temperature gauge and or a pressure gauge and all that other stuff. I was going to put it in, but after just doing all of what I did here, I could have probably saved my money, unless that temperature gauge don't work. Anyway, kind of a long day's work, but somewhat successful. And as a final note, looks like my temperature gauge is starting to work. So that was two things. Sounds pretty good. Got a lot of exhaust leaks. You hear a lifter ticking over here. That power steering pump is rattling. Radiator hose is starting to get warm. Idling about 27 pounds of vacuum. Missing a little. Right side. This is the worst muffler job too. Here and under there. Anyway, got my gas gauge to work. Temperature gauge is set right on low. Jack's working good. Lights are on. High beam indicator is working. Wiper still struggling along. All in all, looks pretty good. I got rid of this old ugly carpet. I just had some piece I'd cut out of the house, and it's pretty good, so I just whacked it up a piece and put it in here for now. Better than that old ugly stuff. I cut another piece out of there, and I still got to remove all this old bad stuff here. And every day it gets a little better. So it looks like the thermostat's about ready to open. See that turn signal, the other one's still not, bulb's not flashing. I I can figure that out sooner or later. That one does, so good enough. Yeah, gauge is coming down. So that was a successful day.